Tonight on Joy News Prime, government says ongoing consultations to review the ban on the use of motorbikes for passenger transport should be ready for Parliament's consideration this October. The news comes on the back of a campaign promise by the NDC flag bearer to legalize the Okada business. Also, family of Kumawood actor Andrew Mensah, who was shot by unknown assailants, say they believe the gunmen were contracted to kill him. Also in this bulletin, Asantehene admonishes chiefs to close their ranks, saying infiltration by politicians is undermining their influence.
The politicians came later. It was only after the introduction of British systems of governance that the politics came here. So you are the fathers. No. But why, ask yourselves, why are you not being recognized as such?
And later in this bulletin, relief reaches victims of Upper East Region floods. And in business, Chamber of Independent Power Producers, Distributors and Bulk Consumers threaten to shut down power plants if debt owed them by government is not settled immediately. We'll also hit the campaign trail with President Kumawood, who is in the Bono region.
Open light bill free, water bill free. Open as a Ghanaian, no, light bill free, water bill free.
And this comes up later in the bulletin. That's voters' voice from Ododo Diodio here in the Greater Accra. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Joining News Prime comes to you live from our studios in Kokomlimle here in Accra on your digital terrestrial TV, because we are free to air on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. Family of Kumawood actor shot by unknown assailants yesterday in Kumasi say they believe the gunmen were contracted to kill him. According to them, Andrew Mensah, who goes by the screen name Scorpion GH, and his landlord have confirmed the armed men repeatedly indicated during the attack that he was their target. The Thursday dawn attack at his residence at Aburaso in Kumasi left the actor with 2 gunshot wounds in the thigh and rib area. The family say the 2 armed persons broke into his apartment. Andrew Mensah, also known as Scorpion GH, who usually plays martial arts roles in Ghanaian action movies, was able to flee the scene after struggling with the criminals. Love News' Nanaya Ojima spoke to brother of the actor and some eyewitnesses on grounds of anonymity. Here's his report.
Landlord of the victim is an eyewitness to the incident. According to him, he was warned by the gunmen to stay away. I came out with a machete to meet gun-wielding men. They pointed the gun to my head and asked me to go back. They said I should stay in my room because they didn't come for me. I was then given some slaps and they took away my phones. They later came back to ask me where the money is. The criminals, 3 men and a woman, all wielding guns, used a mechanical jack to lift the locked metal door at the main entrance of the building. They destroyed a second door before getting inside the house. The landlord says 2 of the criminals engaged him, whilst the others struggled with the victim.
Scorpion ni nipa mienu ene gate ni nyina ko gu fom nti ho na me pie no nti me pie na se Scorpion da fom.
I saw Scorpion force the door they had destroyed to fall back on them. He struggled with 2 of them on the ground. That was when the other 2 took me to my room with the gun pointed at me. I then heard one say, "Shoot him," and he did. I could hear people running, and another shot followed.
No to for more. No sa tiane ba ko biem. Nti o spital kan sa sore na o se ko sa bo ne ba ko. Nti first one bo ne film. Na second one bo ne sirim.
Scorpion GH is currently receiving treatment at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. Meanwhile, his family suspects the criminals were hired to kill him, even though the actor says he holds no grudges with anybody.
Yes, I'm sure it is contract killing. So police came in after 10 minutes, so they are also doing their investigation. That the Suntres who came in, then Chamoso, Afasiebo, and the Central Police team came in, the criminal team as well. They all came in, so I'm sure the culprits will be apprehended in no time.
you've had interactions with your brother. Do you think, or has he been able to tell you whether he has issues with anybody?
No, he said he has issue with no one. He even traveled and came in 2 weeks ago, and then this has also happened. So in fact, we really thank God for saving his life, because as I speak now, he can talk.
Assembly member for Ebraso electoral area, Emmanuel Nyanten, reveals some steps taken to deal with insecurity there.
Even in the absence of the chief and other things, the assemblyman and the committee, the unit committee are also doing our best. As I'm talking now, we've set up a meeting, God willing, Sunday, that we are meeting all the landlords and landladies to also work on our security. We are even thinking of setting up a watchdog committee, of which we have even kicked start of it. We met the landlords and they agreed to it that it is a good thing, so we should continue with that. So we are even meeting on Sunday with all the landlords to also look the way forward that we can help strengthen our security.
Simtresu police say they have commenced investigations. From Kumasi for Joy News, Nanaya Ojima reporting.
The National Media Commission says it does not have the capacity to monitor the country's airways and weed out bad language and fake news as election 2020 approaches. Executive Secretary George Sapon told the Public Accounts Committee efforts are however underway to build a workable system.
We sit now, Mr. Chairman, we do not intend to use this opportunity to discuss our problems, but for regulating more than 400 radio stations in Ghana, more than 20 daily newspapers coming up at different times, and many other publications, television, online, we have only 3 professional staff. Are we prepared to monitor election 2020? That sadly is no. We do not have the resources and the capacity to be able to monitor election 2020. So we are working towards alternative approaches to regulatory systems that can still help us make some necessary interventions. Just this morning, I completed work. What we are developing is a system that enables us to monitor media broadly and better than what we had previously done. So we are building an integrated system that enables crowdsourcing and also citizens to input into the process. So wherever you are, if you found something on radio, television that is of concern to you, you could send it to us. The material is time-stamped, it is location-stamped. So it helps us easily to tell where it is coming from. At the same time, beyond the media, the system enables us also to take incidents. So if something is happening in a constituency at a polling station or anywhere, and somebody took that video and sent it, because of the time and the GPS stamping, we can tell whether it is authentic or not. So that can also help us to address questions of fake news and disinformation.
Responding to questions at the sitting, the Executive Secretary George Sapon explained the NMC is also struggling to stop the activities of money doublers who use TV platforms to defraud viewers because of the Supreme Court's decision to strike out its media content regulation in 2016.
Our society is at great risk of fraudsters and scammers, and unfortunately, they are applying the national resource of television and spectrum to their criminal activity, and something needs to be done. The painful truth, though, is that the attempts that the Commission made some time ago to address these issues, the Supreme Court disagreed with us. This House may recall that the Commission some time ago, with the help of the House, passed the Content Standard in Electronic Communications Regulations, LI 2224. That was intended to address issues like this. The Supreme Court disagreed with that, and so we are back to the table to see how do we all deal with it. We saw the problem evolving into this more than a decade ago and started working towards that. Our view is that perhaps one needs to take a second look at the issues again. We still believe that we need regulations of that nature. And if we are not very careful, we can destroy the society.
A group of civil societies is lamenting delays in the establishment of an independent police complaint commission. The group, which has for a while now been campaigning for an oversight institution, says this will help deal with issues of unprofessionalism in the police force while resolving police-civilian disputes. The group, led by Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative, says there has not been much progress in establishing the commission despite building consensus with stakeholders. Reacting to the latest Ghana Integrity Initiative report on law enforcement and justice institutions, Director of CHRI, Mina Mensah, maintained lack of sustained pressure on government is the reason for the delay in the establishment of the commission.
And one of the recommendations was an external oversight body. The Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative and its partners have been working on an independent police complaint authority for Ghana. It's something that we've been doing for a very long time. Currently, as at last year, December, we developed a legal framework which we handed over to the Ministry of Interior. We have not received any feedback from that document. We had one meeting with the ministry where we handed the document over to them. They said they will revert, but we haven't heard anything from them. So it's a conversation that has gone on for a while. And UPR, the last review, Ghana committed to an independent oversight of policing. So at the end of the day, it is for us to keep the authorities committed to do what they are saying for. And I always have some retort when the media asks that. You are a stakeholder, the fourth estate. If government is not doing what it ought to do, it is not for you to come to civil society, go to government and ask government to do what it said it will do. You have a bigger platform that I have. So it will be good if all of us come together and insist and put pressure, because you're having an interview with me today on this issue. Trust me, that is, you play it today and that's the end of it. Will government take anybody serious? No. So that is one of the reasons why politicians get away with what they get away with. The media will pick it up. One story, two stories, and that is the end of it. And because of that, the authorities, they wait us out so that they can get away with it. Yeah, you should do a lot more, which I know you won't probably do. And
welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now to the rest of our stories. And Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has donated relief items to victims of the recent floods in the Upper East region. The Vice President is currently on a two-day tour of that region. Shortly after inspecting the devastation caused by the floods, which were caused by recent torrential rains, coupled with the spillage of the Bagri Dam in Burkina Faso, Dr. Bawumia made a stop at the Anatim community in the Bogatanga municipality, where he donated the items for onward distribution to the affected victims. Here's a report by correspondent Albert Sori, read to you.
Joy News was at the scene before the Vice President's arrival. A long queue of vehicles was seen along the road, with security personnel mounting a blockade to prevent people from attempting to cross. A gully of about 20 meters had been created on the road, having been washed away by the floodwaters 2 days ago. Most portions of the edges of the road had also been washed away.
Here on the Bolga-Boku Road, specifically on the Kobori stretch, where the road has been completely washed off. On the other side of what you are seeing is the Kobori Bridge, which earlier in the week had been flooded.
Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia started his tour of the Upper East region by inspecting a damaged portion of the Bogatanga-Boku Road, which had been washed away at Kobore by the floodwaters, and as a result, cut off the eastern part of the region from the capital. Bogatanga. He then went by a helicopter to inspect the general damage caused by the floods in the Upper East region. Next, the Vice President stopped at the Anatim community near Sumbrungu in the Bogatanga municipality, where he made a donation of relief items for onward distribution to the flood victims. Here, Joy News observed that some of the displaced flood victims were now seeking shelter at the community's basic school. Space had been created in the classroom by moving away the classroom furniture. Mattresses were then laid and mosquito nets hung where the victims had been sleeping. Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia donated some relief items to the flood victims. The items included blankets, mattresses, mats, food items, clothing and soap. The Vice President also donated a cash amount of 20,000 Ghana cedis to the flood victims.
On behalf of the government, NADMO has been very quickly reacting to the disaster that has befallen our people. And so here we are, and NADMO has brought in relief items to provide for the people. And these relief items includes mattresses, soap, rice, and other oil and other buckets, and so on. So water, and so they've been provided items to allow them to have some normality whilst we deal with the bigger problem.
Dr. Bawumia wrapped up the first day of his tour with a visit to Tono Dam at Navrongo, where work had been ongoing to repair a broken portion of the dam's spillway caused by the floods last year. Managers of the dam had been forced to spill excess water through the spillway, even though the repair works had not yet been completed.
Looking at the floods that have happened in the Upper East region, and we've examined and assessed what has taken place so far. The issue of flood control is very, very key, and the Kumawood irrigation project is going to be one of the key solutions to this huge flood that we are seeing. And it's also going to be a key solution to complement the Tono Dam in terms of irrigation. The Kumawood will bring about 12,000 hectares into irrigation and will have a major impact there, but it will also have flood control and electricity. Now, Tono is very important. As we've been saying, we've done some rehabilitation of Tono, and this has been like the first in about 40 years that we are seeing a rehabilitation of this dam. And there's work going on the spillway, and I think that it was important to come here. I've been here when it broke to see what was going on. Quickly we set about fixing the problem, and the work construction is going on. And I think when the water level recedes a bit, the contractor will come and continue the construction.
Today, the second day of the Vice President's tour of the Upper East region will take him to the Nabdam, Bongo, and Kasana Nankana West districts, where he is expected to inspect some projects and address debtors. Albert Soris report for Joy News.
Government has announced ongoing consultations to consider a review of the ban on the use of motorbikes for passenger transport. Passenger transport should be ready for consideration by Parliament by October. A statement from the Ministry of Transport on Friday details a series of consultations started in November last year to seek the views of stakeholders. The release from the ministry comes even as NDC flag bearer promised to legalize Okada business should he be elected. Joining me in the studio now is parliamentary correspondent Joseph Opoku-Gakpo. Gakpo, what exactly does the statement say?
A number of items. First of all, the Transport Ministry says it's taking notice of the public debate on the legality of the Okada business, and the ministry would want to make the public aware of the following. First of all, the statement says the law which makes Okada operations illegal, that's the Road Traffic Regulation 2012 Act, was passed by the then NDC administration under former President Mahama. So the Transport Ministry is making that very clear that it was under the previous administration that was passed, and that the Akufo-Addo government, since it resumed office, has sought to assess the implementation of this particular regulation, and that in the process, various consultations have actually been rolled out in order to come to a decision on how the way forward.
There's also, government says it's been consulting organizations. Which particular organizations have they been consulting?
A number of them. Government says the consultations have been on since March 2019 up until November 2019. So they've met the Ghana Shepherds Council, in the Volta region as well. They've held various consultations with a number of groups at the Regional Coordinating Council in Ho, in the Eastern region in Koforidua, in the Western region as well. In the Bono region, they've also done so in the Ashanti region and also at the in the Upper East and Upper West regions. Beyond that, they've consulted a number of groups, including the Institute of Planners, the Automobile Dealers Association, the Driver Instructors Association, the Road Safety Authority, the DVLA, the MTT, the Okada Riders Association themselves. Government says have actually been consulted, as well as the road safety advocates, the transport unions, the ambulance service, the Red Cross Society, the fire service, and also the insurance association.
But interestingly, as part of the consultation, they visited hospitals. What was the purpose for that?
The statement from the ministry says, in addition to these institutions, 4 major hospitals, namely the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital, the Tamale Teaching Hospital, the Kumawood Teaching Hospital, and also the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, were all visited by the teams to obtain first-hand information on the toll that Okada-related injuries are having on various individuals. And even apart from that, the Ghana Journalists Association has also been consulted, and that consultation happened at the Press Center in November 2019.
Well, there's also an expected second phase that should happen. What would that entail?
According to the government statement, this second phase will be happening in the Bono East, as well as the Ahafo regions, the Western North, the Savannah region, and then there will be consultations with a number of groups, including the Dankwa Institute, the Center for Democratic Development, the Institute for Democratic Governance, IDEG, as well as ISODEC, the Center for Policy Analysis, the IEA, and interestingly, the major political parties. Government says they will be consulted, and the expectation is that currently, because of COVID-19, they've pulled brakes on the stakeholder engagement, but government is hoping to complete it all by October 2020, and then a report will be presented to Cabinet for a final decision to be taken.
This is an interesting one that we'll keep our eye on, especially as elections get closer. This has been very topical, and we'll be monitoring that. Opoku Gakpo is our correspondent in Parliament. Now, Santehene Otumfo II is worried the infiltration of politicians in chieftaincy affairs has undermined the influence of chiefs. He observed divisions among them had also negatively affected their role as peacemakers. Speaking at the commissioning of the National House of Chiefs building, he feared criticism from posterity and advised chiefs to reinvent themselves.
And yet, civil society organizations are now calling for peace and calling politicians to resolve whatever differences when the National House of Chiefs exists. Now it's because maybe we are reneging on our duties. As fathers of this nation, politics came to meet you and meet you. The politicians came later. It was only after the introduction of British systems of governance that the politics came here. So you are the fathers. But why, ask yourselves, why are you not being recognized as such? It is because of our own doing. We troop to politicians begging them for certain things, so we are divided in the front. You have to be united. You should know the essence of chieftaincy. Let them come to you for advice. Let them come to you for direction. If we don't do that, and we go for our petty whatever benefits that we want, you sell your heritage to the politicians. And therefore, please, I'm stressing on this because chieftaincy as an institution has something to do for Ghana. And if we don't, the relevance of it will be questioned by the youth who don't appreciate yesterday, but today. They don't know the historical antecedents of chieftaincy. What they are looking for now is food on the table for them, the education. And so if the chieftaincy institution is not made to be relevant to them, with all due respect, they will start questioning us. And that, we shouldn't forget that it might happen soon if we don't put our house in order and lead by example. By proving to Ghana that the chieftaincy institution is relevant to the whole Ghana. Because people start questioning, what is this chieftaincy at all? And you know, on television and other things, people who claim to be socialists are saying that what is this institution at all? What relevance has it got to do with us?
Joe.
And this should be a sign of worry to all of us.
Joe.
And the only reason why we can curtail this is putting ourselves in situations for us to be very relevant.
Joe.
Situations now.
And still to come in business, Chamber of Independent Power Producers, Distributors and Bulk Consumers threaten to shut down power plants if debt owed them by government is not settled immediately. It's time now for business. Chamber of Independent Power Producers, Distributors and Bulk Consumers is threatening to shut down power plants if debt owed them by government is not settled immediately. The turnoff of the plants will affect the distribution of power to the national grid and consequently affect regular supply of electricity. Government owes the IPPEs about $1.3 billion with a debt set to escalate further. Ghana will not be able to use cheap hydro sources of power to expand generation capacity to support its rural electrification program. This is because of higher demand for power in the last few years. This situation has compelled the Energy Commission to press on government to fast-track implementation of energy conservation initiatives for the country. Speaking to Joy Business, Director of Energy Efficiency and Climate Change at the Energy Commission, Kofi Jakon, says the growing demand is worrying and could affect the country economically.
Now Ghana has hit its wet end as far as cheap hydropower is concerned. Now, any future expansion of generation capacity will have to come from thermal. And thermal is expensive. You understand? Thermal is expensive. That is how come sometimes we struggle to adjust tariffs upwards, and it comes with a whole lot of resistance. Thermal is expensive by way of the crude oil that we use as feedstock. It is expensive also by way of maintenance. It is expensive by way of the carbon dioxide that it emits into the atmosphere. So, if the trend is not checked and demand for power continues to grow, then we as a people will have no alternative than to cough money to increase generation, expand generation capacity. That is building more power plants. And that money, you know much as I do, that can be applied to certain sensitive sectors of the economy that will bring prosperity to all of us.
Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Reverend Daniel Ugbamitete, has disclosed payment of funds locked up with liquidated investment firms will be done through cash and a mutual fund instrument. Payments are set to begin from the last week of September this year. Speaking on PM Express Business Edition, Reverend Ugbamitete explained what a bailout from government will entail.
Government come in and provide a bailout for these investors or these clients of these affected companies. Initially, we government told us, okay, they'll give a capped amount, but over time and through engagement, the government has agreed to provide a bailout based on the validated claims of these clients. So this is, if you like, a social intervention that government has decided to do, because typically,
whilst you wait for the assets to be validated and be sold, let me use the layman since I have a lawyer here, to sell the assets of these companies.
Well, so actually the way the bailout is going to work out, once government comes in, the clients don't even have to be worried about engaging the official liquidator for any process, because government is coming to say, if this is your validated claim, we are providing you the bailout. So the government will have to then deal with official liquidator in terms of whatever recoveries she would make from the assets she may find. Okay, so what government is doing is very good because it's effectively stepping in to make these affected investors whole.
But Reverend, some would say that clearly from the Bank of Ghana experience, it was clear that this liquidation process would take quite a while to pay these people right.
So that's why I said that we are working with our act in Act 9.
I'm sorry if I threw in, because that is what fresh on our mind.
No, it's important. I think people need to understand. In Act 929, we can appoint a receiver only where broker-dealer firms are concerned.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the Sports Bulletin with me, Oreko Ampofo. We do start off with some local stories, and Ghana's male under-17 team will resume campaign next week to prepare for the 2020 WAFU Zone B Cup of Nations, slated for Benin from October 17th to 31st, 2020. Now, the Starlets, coached by former Ghana player Ben Fuku, broke camp in March following the coronavirus pandemic. He says that breaking the camp has affected the team largely.
The national under-17 team had to cancel their preparations for the WAFU Zone B Championship due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Head coach of the Black Starlets, Ben Fuku, has been speaking about the impact of the decision to cancel their preparations due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
The pandemic has given us a lot of problems, and we think that we need to speed up the time frame up we have now, because we started the campaign around February. They have about 100 and something players. We will need to screen them to get about 40 players in camp. And we break the team into two sides. We came to camp 2 times, and we managed to pick the players we need to start a main campaign with, which we were having about 5 months to prepare, which the competition should have been in July. So roughly we'll be having about 5 months to prepare before the pandemic came in when we break camp. So it has affected us a lot, because hereby we have roughly about 1 month to go to my program, to me, before we leave here. I have about 1 month to prepare the team.
Previous U17 national teams have performed wonderfully. However, the team failed to qualify for a World Cup for 10 consecutive years before breaking the jinx in 2017. In 2019, the team under the tutelage of Abdul Karim Zito unfortunately failed to qualify for the World Cup. Ben Fuku says he is very much aware of the pressure on his team to deliver during the tournament.
A long time we have this that from first under 17 teams, those past under 17 teams, which we are aware of that we need to work harder, because we need to plan well before we can do that. That is why exactly what myself and my technical team are doing, so that we can raise that laugh back for people to see that this is another new under 17 coming here and there. You need to be ready for the team. Sometimes you don't get a chance of watching play teams you are going to play with. Apart from maybe getting a scout to maybe scout those teams also for you. One of our colleagues can do that, which will do that for before we leave for the tournament. But all the same, as you are preparing for a tournament, you know this is not a league match, it's a national assignment, so you need to prepare well to meet any teams, so that when you get there, once you haven't even studied them, when you get there, the players can maybe make sure that whatever teams you are playing with is the how you're supposed to raise their game up, and we can meet the tournament. The materials I have now, I think that despite we have a short period to train, to prepare for the WAFU B, Zone B, I'm assuring all Ghanaians that they should be behind us. They should bring that laugh back, because they will see new under 17 team. Nobody is going to disgrace the country.
The Starlets are expected to start camping next week, Friday.
From football, let's move over to some boxing. And today, on our journey to the Boxing Loan documentary, to be premiered later this month, we bring you an excerpt from when DK Poison first drank champagne in his life.
Yes, I said it. The first I had my champagne, the champagne.
You drank champagne for the first time in your life? Yes, the first time in my lifetime.
Tell me that. You open the champagne.
I see.
For himself, then we have a toast.
Wow.
It was, I enjoyed it the first time. I enjoy it.
It wasn't like a beer. It wasn't like a alcohol. It wasn't like a
wine. Beer.
You know, the taste is present.
Yeah.
The boxing loan would be premiering live here on the Joy News channel much later this month. But before we go, remember at 8:45, we're bringing you a special preview to the football season starting at 10 p.m. We'll bring you another special 1-hour show previewing the EPL and the La Liga ahead of their return tomorrow. My name is Oreko Ampofo, and that's how we wrap up the first part of sport.
It's time now for Showbiz. Becky is here with the very latest. Hello, Becky.
Hello to you, Aisha. Good evening. How are you doing? How was your day? It's a Friday. I love Fridays because I get to sleep tomorrow morning. But let's talk about Reggie Rockstone and his wife, Zilla. They partnered a foundation to feed the street kids from, I think, from 37 to all the way Medina. And they are urging everybody else to emulate this act.
Together with Ace's Kitchen. Doing all of this that we've been doing this COVID period, another mutual friend, Harris is the one who connected us. Yeah, because we keep asking for people or for foundations to support. And so someone connected us, and that's how we came together. And they've been doing a whole lot helping people. So we came together, chose a date, Reggie Rockstone in the mix. And here we are feeding kids. It's actually, you'd think it will be easy. It's not easy at all. So from 37 all the way down here, we are in Medina, and we've just given the last lot of food. And yeah, I think it's a beautiful moment and it's a good thing. So we thank God for everything.
We want to help, to reach out to help people that need. So if you're watching us, you could also emulate us and become like us and do, because the world as we live in today is not the same. Until each one help each one. Rocks Wache, soul food. Thank you.
All right, so
that's actually a good
I think we should do something like that.
Yes, we should.
Time ladies.
I mean, yes. I mean, soonest. It shouldn't be any far.
Yeah. But let's talk about. Remember Gifty Adoye?
Yes.
And you know that her husband is Hobson Adoye, and he's vying for the position of the Member of Parliament for Kpong Katamanso.
Yes.
So Gifty says that we should try as much as possible. I'm sure she's talking to the people of Kpong Katamanso to vote for him because she has ideas. And you know, when my husband
support her husband.
When her husband goes into Parliament, she would help, especially the music industry.
Yeah.
She will help push, you know, some of the ideas through his husband, so that
through her husband. Great.
Yeah, her husband. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you. Now my husband is a MPP parliamentary candidate, and I am praying and I'm hoping that Kpong Katamanso, people of Kpong Katamanso will give the mandate to my husband. I don't want to promise, but I am praying if my husband's win, I'm going to use my husband. In fact, watch my lips. I'm going to use my lovely husband, the gentle giant, to also push something for...
Something like what?
Oh, to bring a little change. The things that I want to see, like this kind of the gambro system and all those things. What you say? Into say, yenya obi obetumi aye kasama fo anano ye den kakra, it would help. And being an honorable wife, I will make sure that, especially media, may bias, you know, my people, like the gospel fraternity, it's too hard for you to bring out an album, go to the studio, promote the payola, the TV, and all those things. I am praying that my husband will win, so that anything that is bothering my area, I can tell him, so that he can go to the parliament and then tell them that this is what we also need. That is what I can do for my people.
So I will.
See how that goes.
I think I need somebody in Parliament that I can marry, so that when he goes into Parliament, I will tell him about my issues.
Members of Parliament, this is a challenge thrown to you. Maybe one of them.
Oh no, please, we're not.
Not the members of Parliament.
We're not finding a husband for me on TV, are we?
Okay, I'll look for one personally for you.
But have you listened to Sarkodie's "Give Me Away" song?
Jeez, Aisha. Thank you so much, Becky, for bringing us showbiz. But I'm just hoping that Dr. Yuan has learned his lessons, because the next time he comes,
you know what somebody said. Yeah, he said that, I mean, when apart from impersonating the UN, I mean, it's just a beautiful award. I mean, we haven't seen golden plates, we haven't seen golden horse, we haven't seen golden feeding bottle before. So it's a beautiful award. I would love one.
Thank you for bringing us showbiz, and that'll be it for showbiz. And back here, students of Mfansipim School say they were left heartbroken by the defeat to their rival St. Augustine's College at the 1/8 stage of the National Science and Maths Quiz last year. In an interview with Joy News after qualifying to the next stage of National Science and Maths Quiz, they said that loss will spur them on to victory at the grand finale of this year's competition.
By the grace of God, we managed to come out tops, and we hope that His grace carries us to the finals and to the victory.
Okay. Can you come here a little bit for me? Okay. So what should we expect as you move on to the 1/8 stage of the competition, knowing very well that you're likely to meet, some seeded schools like St. Augustine's College. You're also likely to meet Boamponsem at this other college. Some of your rivals are actually in there, and you're likely to meet them at the 1/8 stage of the competition. What should we expect from Mfansipim School?
We should expect nothing but the best, because this year we are coming on fire. Okay. We're on fire, yeah. And you're coming on live.
Okay. So I was interacting with you. Your headmaster was also outside there, and he told me you guys are coming like what, Kakai?
Yeah, that was it. And we are here this year to reinstate Mfansipim. It's been long since we won.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys probably were informed too by then when you lost to St. Augustine's.
Yeah, we were informed too by then.
Mfansipim School qualified to the 1/8 stage alongside Holy Child School, Apam Senior High School and Asin State College. The broadcast of the 2020 National Science and Maths Quiz is brought to you by Joy News, your most credible news channel, and supported by Bright Senior High School, Kukurintumi, Building Dreams, Shaping Future, DBS Roofing Papa Pathi, Adonko Hand Sanitizer, Kurumpo Suro, and Adonko Next Level Energy Drink, the premium energy drink. That'll be it for those of you watching on Joy Prime. The news continues on Joy News. Nanada Mwa Kofabai, a Chimhene of Wenchi traditional area, has appealed for the fast tracking of the establishment of Tree Crop Authority to regularize operations of the cashew industry. Though a lot of cashew is cultivated at Wenchi and surrounding communities, the chief says the farmers are heavily exploited by those who buy their produce. Speaking at a deba ahead of the sword cutting for construction of Droboso, the Agubei Bedu Road, Wenchi Water Project, and an inspection of the construction of the ongoing educational facility at Kwase SHTS under the Senior High School Intervention Project. Nana Damwa appealed to the president to help end the exploitation of cashew farmers.
About the prices of cashew. Last year was a disaster. This year, probably West and people. Prices were showing so high that farmers cannot plan their year. Please, we are looking forward to the day you will come and inaugurate the cashew development board right here in Wenchi. This will give credence to our claim to be the cashew capital of Ghana. Please, we also need your assistance in advancing some loans to business people in the area so they can add value to the cashew that we produce here right in Wenchi. In the end, without 4 more years, all our requests are going to be just requests, empty. So we urge you all to give His Excellency, the President of the United Republic, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, 4 more years.
Dom Sechia-Kun, Paramount Chief of Drobo Traditional Area, has appealed to Nana Akufo-Addo to help the Zizira community to get telecommunication network connectivity for them to meet their needs, including education. He says the only network available is from Ivory Coast. Speaking at a Deba at that community in honor of the president during the inspection of a 31.7-kilometer Banafo Zizira Adamsu Road in the German South District of the Bono region, he lauded the president for the many social intervention policies, including the free SHS, urging the residents to vote for him for another 4 years. In his response, Nana Akufo-Addo assured the chiefs and people he will attend to their request, while appealing to them to return the MPP's favor by voting for him and his parliamentary candidate.
Tree Crop Development Authority, Tree Crop Development Authority, the teaching and the country they say about the Pequaya, the bit to meet the buy a whole day, anti 7 crops make a massive. They say cocoa board in Yama, cocoa for some Tree Crop Development Authority, and by the Ama cash producer. Improve the production, improve the distribution, improve the marketing, and also protect the farmers and their prices. That is going to be the purpose of the Tree Crop Development Authority, to protect the farmers. Now, we don't have people coming here and cheating the consumer farmers. Tree Crop Authority, and you think you are ever there, I come out here and check Tree Crop Development Authority, and I say, I am and check, and we don't know the sound about the bois cashew producers in our country. The 2016 MPP manifesto pledge, providing water for all, a key priority we are committed to implementing. To execute this project, government has secured a 30 million euro credit facility from Belfius Bank of Belgium with the support of the Belgian Export Credit Agency, Credendo. After its completion, in 36 months, the total supply capacity will be 10,700 cubic meters per day, which will be adequate to meet the 2040 water demand for an estimated population of some 92,500 people in towns such as Wechi, Drobuso, Yoruba, Bepuso, Biposo, Siano, and reliability. The prevalence of waterborne diseases such as guinea worm, cholera, and dysentery will be reduced to the barest minimum, if not eliminated. Additionally, this project will bring in its way job opportunities, as the contractor will engage the services of indigents during the construction period. also expect, once the water supply project is completed, that investors will take advantage of government's flagship programs such as One District, One Factory, to establish small and medium-scale factories to exploit the natural resources of the area, create employment opportunities for the youth of the community, and stimulate the growth and development of the local economy.
The Bono East chapter of the Concerned Assembly Members of Ghana has called on its members to support the promise made by former President John Dramani Mahama to pay Assembly members monthly allowances when voted into power in December. The group, at a press briefing in Techiman, reiterated challenges it says confront Assembly members as they go about their duties. Correspondent Anna Sabit has more in the following report.
At a press conference organized by the Bono East chapter of the Concerned Assembly Members Association of Ghana, the group called on all assembly members to join hands in supporting the proposal made by the former President John Dramani Mahama with regards to the payment of monthly allowances to assembly members across the country.
Concerned Assembly Members Association of Ghana, Kumawood, is an association of progressive-minded assembly members who believed that to achieve a better local governance system, there is the need to pull along the local champions, which is we, the assembly members, and also to address the challenges that confront us in our day-to-day activities and our welfare as well. Now, to recent development towards His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, policy proposal for paying allowances to assembly members. We have held different press conferences in different regions of Ghana, where emphasis was placed on how His Excellency John Dramani Mahama proposed to make revenue for the payment of the monthly allowances for assembly members.
They described an earlier press conference addressed by the Greater Accra Assembly members as a lazy and shallow foresight on the part of the group.
There was a press conference by a group calling itself Greater Accra Assembly members, which assessed that paying of monthly allowances itself is a good policy, and it has been a long overdue. But they hold their doubt as to whether the person proposing will be able to deliver, and later went further to throw their support for the current president. It is only a lazy and a shallow foresight leader who, when seeing an opportunity in front of him, instead of pursuing it, will sit and be complaining. If you agree to the proposal, why don't we cheer on the proponent to victory so you can also make your followers happy?
National coordinator of the association, Mr. David Atachum, tells Joy News that as assembly members, their only source of income is the sitting allowances they secure during assembly meetings.
As it stands now, our source of survival depends solely on our God and our members, because we don't have any monthly allowance. We only receive allowance when we go for sittings, and that one is just, it is just a TNT, just a peanut. 20 cedis, some is 20 cedis, and some sitting allowance is 40 cedis, other is 50 cedis. So that is why we are coming out strongly that 28 good years of Fourth Republic, it is time for assembly members to be considered and to be given a fair share of the national cake. That is why we've come together.
Some of the assembly members shared with Joy News what they go through in line of duty as assembly members.
We realize that now, as an assemblyman, you rather dedicate more of your time to the assemblyman work than your actual work. In the sense that if they should call you, there's an emergency and you are at work, you have to stop the work and rise there to first ascertain the right information of what is happening so that you can report to the appropriate quarters. So you realize that in the long run, you are always working at the expense of your work, making you losing whatever you were supposed to get from your workplace.
Assembly members, we encounter so many problems. When somebody is arrested, assemblyman. When there is no light, assemblyman. When there is no water, assemblyman. Forgetting there's an MP who is to ensure that these things are resolved. But we assembly members sometimes use our pocket money to do all these things. And I know a lot of my colleagues here will testify to that.
Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Techiman.
Spokesperson for former President John Mahama, Joyce Baa-Mokhtari, says an NDC government will abolish double track in senior high schools within its first 2 years in office. The double track policy has been criticized heavily by stakeholders in the education sector who insist it compromises quality at the senior high school level. The opposition party promised in its manifesto that it would abolish the system when voted into power. Speaking on Prime Morning on Joy Prime TV, Ms. Baa-Mokhtari said this will happen in 2 years.
Even the first 2 years, certainly we would have rolled out a very comprehensive blueprint that enables us to totally stem. And of course, for some of the schools where infrastructure is not a challenge, where populations are not too large, why not? And certainly building more schools will mean then that we are able to even reduce numbers and encourage more children to go to school at the same time. There is a good reason why Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah left us with the school model that we had. It is a product that has brought us all here. I believe that our children deserve even all of that and more.
We'll take a break on Joy News Prime. We'll return shortly. On corruption, the former deputy minister says a new administration will codify a set of rules on conflicts of interest to prevent its occurrence.
President Mahama at no time faulted Siraj for doing his work. He had no issues with the work that was done. The question is whether or not everybody at the presidency was conversant with rules regarding gifts. And I told you, even I myself at the time had never averted my mind to it. But I had actually later on found out, because of the ruling from Siraj, that there was a certain policy in place. It is the reason why we are promising in our 2020 manifesto that there will now be specific guidelines for public office holders. Those guidelines will reflect clearly all of these things that most... Imagine, for example, declaration of assets. It is a matter of public policy that anybody within a certain public office situation must declare their assets. But how often do you see people doing so? And who gets punished for so not doing so? You understand?
Well, it's because it's done under certain circumstances.
No, but in some circumstances, look, there is also some sort of political chicanery that goes in some of these things. Sometimes we'll turn a blind eye because maybe it's not in our interest. Other times we'll turn a blind eye because it's not something that we want to do. But I think President Mahama's commitment is that he will continue to strengthen governance. And one of the key planks of strengthening governance is that you must find ways to deal with corruption.
Let's stick with the NDC a bit longer because the National Democratic Congress says it will assign one lawyer to every collation center on election day to protect the ballot. National Chairman Ofosu wants members of the party to devote resources to police the ballot to ensure victory for John Mahama. The party has also hinted at plans to outdoor funding options for the various promises outlined in the NDC manifesto. The national chairman of the NDC, Ofosu, has been speaking to Love News at a capacity building workshop for lawyers and former appointees of the party in Kumasi.
Ahead of election 2020, the NDC has formed a legal committee attracting lawyers from its fold to assist in resolving issues that may crop up at the collation centers in this year's elections. The training workshop, to be replicated across the country, is aimed at building the capacities of these lawyers and former appointees to protect the ballot at every collation center. Samuel Ofusu is national chairman of the NDC.
We want to assure the good people of this country that we are taking everything serious, especially activities at the polling stations. And that is why you are here. You are here to concentrate on what happens at the polling station. Right from the opening of the ballot box to the beginning of voting to the end, we are going to police every aspect of it. And we are going to put our best foot forward. That is why I have asked the flag bearer, for instance, that anyone who wants to enjoy and be part of a future NDC government must be prepared that on election day, he is seen at the polling station defending and protecting the ballot and ensuring that he supports our party.
Dodo constituency is our destination for voters' voice today. With the recent attack on their Member of Parliament Residents in the area say an end to electoral violence is non-negotiable. Here are some of the residents.
telephone be like coming challengeable. Ajaka ni any water she won kwano fiano. Aka mamina yechio. Kanya banu na kamokowo. Why am no nete no neba he. Why am no nete no neba he. Why am oh why am why am no nete no neba. Why am oh wakam
inke floor engo fonana therefore yes floor engo fonana ya no akamu fiamu binila tenke inke floor engo fonana ejaga 4 years ni bako yin roake e ba na che abatu sila anu chumu 4 years ni bako e ba na abatu sempe nu chumu.
We need peace and unity. We are all here to do what is right. But as now what is going on, it's not fair. If you pass here, people are passing, you pass here, they are fighting here and there. We are not here to fight. We need peace and unity.
God, the James Town, fishing ball, no, Benjamin Fat, or from what Tabiani, Nibanaka, Akufado, I met Tena, my cat sword, Najaluchi Moshi, or Benjamin Fat, Fat, or Temna 3, when you know Yakuto name, no, or get 4 more Yakuto name. I'm a circle overhead. Skanaka maseko over there. Bleach over here. Mene kumo pokwa se interchange na fio. Mene kumo connection.
Correct. Echeko.
Oh, kebo che libi kome.
Echeko.
Libi ni.
Efa ne fio. Mito mabila ke. Pokwa se na me lobby ska ke ba. Sani no. Aga ska ni ba. Ska na ke ba dana ke tuoni. Pokwa se na mo lobby ska ke ba.
Ni lobby.
Inshallah na catch sword there. Dia Akufo-Addo first ni JCC.
Mene
Kufo ni ba de sword catch mo sisi ejeme. Ni Kufo government ehu. Afe no ko. Ni twa ka mini. Ata o ska ka mashomo.
Ana mo ata o.
O mbra.
Na mo ata o.
Keska ko be bia me ni ga ba bia ma ke. Ani na mo keska ba.
Ofane ke o ata o ska ko. Ni oba catch sword there. Dikasa no o na ajenu tumonji. Sure, ata scan je go lutumo no okay.
Over nephew. I got 3 months. FA project. Onye no tasi ni 3 months no I got get ofe ne ke ne.
Mene ni ga wo you there. Ke e bi SSS e bi benefit your free SHS.
Kwa. Na kan la be na kan la because we never put mo fe money le I started free SHS, Jengo, then Akufo-Addo ba. Call le ana chombu. I feel a pilot system omo, then Akufo-Addo ba.
Na feel free SHS lo.
But nege na kana journey sisi. Na I get pilot, but I get piloting. No abaje bi abakwa ke o. Ni ne e ba benefit man lo. Then aba ni le fio. E ke man fe mini. Ena ese si oni otesi dabi dey problem ke
I mean na kwale am sumo na me yo I feel free SHS me ke ba no when this no when
ke ba
abafo siki ajo ndo mani mama
ovane batwe mo femu ni ba do mo adeka mi ne vote ni lante vanna boy ke ejo mama be mo ko nu pajile tawo bi no ya eja ke Akufo-Addo fa shikapo minkabu bi ane 4 years na Akufo-Addo your free SHS shika ekoni over light bill free water bill free over as a Ghanaian no ye light bill free water bill free vote for more for Nanado Banama ye bi ane minkabu Banama ba ye election
Banama will never be MP
ni lente vanna boy for more
John Dramani Mama.
NDC ni la telephone point. Epene slaga market botwe, salaga market. I'm a Kumawood for 23 years ne. Ninkabo you I have a video on my phone. Ni sla atuni lebi meni Joshi sabi ame pa 4. Ajonshi 4 na pa 12.
Ono moni ata wo shika ke ba project e.
Ofane
ata wo shika na ke ba fi project e.
Ofane botwe asatino ninkabo you Jamestown fishing abo. Yakwaje nutumu na tuwe
propaganda ni. Ofane they are all lies.
Oh, ni twanga be jodo de
all lies.
Atuni yejen bi ane ninkabo you. Bi ane MPP wa be MP bi e. MP common fund the minute feel.
Kebi ani ko gogo the biggest liar in Ghana. His Excellency the Vice President. Dr. Aliu Bawumia. Amaleloni. Kufuor Amaleloni. Me to December 7th. I want every Ghanaian got the pool me. Vote to honorable Nilan Tevanapo. His Excellency Joe.
Ofane.
The betterment of this country.
Ofane. Botwe. Hey, natu.
Na me ba fite Ghana. Na me ba haju. Amemba ju Ghana ska.
Ofane. Eba ala mawe.
Ju Ghana ska.
Ofane, botwe. Okay.
December 7 will be interesting. The National Democratic Congress says it is going to impose austerity measures on its ministers and other government appointees in their next administration. According to the chairman of the NDC 2020 Manifesto Committee, Professor Danso Boafo, this is in line with the party's return to its social democratic roots. He was speaking on Manifesto Tracker on PM Express Wednesday.
They had to go back to the drawing board, revisit all the proposals, all the memoranda, just about everything, to factor COVID into our analysis, calculations, and eventual conclusions. After doing that, we went back to costing. So we estimated how much all these programs are going to be costing. We know very much so that the post-COVID economic picture will not be fun at all. It's going to be ugly, and therefore our thinking changed. So if Nanoe is telling you that we have costed it and have come up with reasonable budgets and estimates, indeed we have. But you see, what is happening is we are in a political game. The elections are what, 3 months from now. Giving out a bunch of proposals and whatever, the chances are you might be seeing that anytime we announce a policy, government comes up with its own counter announcement and so on and so forth. But you see,
so are you suggesting you're afraid to put up because you're afraid to be copied or outdone by the government?
No, the fact is, if we want to study the same thing and within the same environment, the chances are we'll come up with the same results. So we are not afraid of that. What we are going to be assuring the Ghanaian, the good people of Ghana, is that the next John Mahama government is going to be different. We're going to cut down the number of ministers. We've already announced it.
By how many?
Well,
now it's 100 and...
So is it 25?
How many?
The chances are we'll reduce it by at least 40. Okay. We'll reduce it by at least 40.
He says their first move towards imposing those stringent measures on themselves will be the drastic reduction in the number of ministers, ministerial aides, and presidential staffers in the next NDC administration. Professor Danso Boafo said should they win the 2020 general elections, their government will reduce the current number of ministers by at least 40.
You're going to do away with a large number of presidential staffers, ministerial aides, and so on and so forth. If you calculate the number of savings that will be accrued from engaging in this exercise,
question is huge. How much? Huge. How much? We have to get to being specific, and that's the beauty of this conversation. Well, because we need to believe you. How much? How much are you willing to save in real terms? Because you've been there. The beauty of this is you've been there before.
Yes.
You've governed. Yes. Just last 4 years.
Yes.
So how much is a legitimate question to ask? How much you hope to save by reducing the government by 40? And then we know. You say you're going to invest some in paying assembly members. So we'll come to interrogate that. Then we know. Okay. Then he's saving enough so he can put that money to do what he's promising he will do with the money.
Yes, and we're going to impose a lot of austerity on our own selves. If a minister's life is not going to be in the kind of luxurious life that we used to see.
What are you cutting?
We're cutting a lot of perks, we're cutting a lot of long convoys, we're cutting a lot of international travel, business travel, first class travel. We're going to cut all these things and ensure, because you see, one thing that you raised in the beginning of your analysis, is that the recognition that we need to go back to our social democratic rules. Social democratic rules compel us to engage in the kinds of lifestyles that will ensure equality, equity, fairness, justice in society. And we are going to ensure that whoever is appointed at the John Mahama government abides by the kinds of austerity measures that we ourselves are imposing. Nobody is going to force us to do it. We realize that the economic conditions imposed by COVID will compel us to do it. Otherwise, we will fail. You know, we've thought these things through. And the fact that we opened up the manifesto writing process to the grassroots tells you that we have the commitment to implement what the...
Let me ask that question and say...
Professor Boafo also stated that the austerity, which is in line with their social democratic ideology, will ensure equality, equity and fairness in society while saving the government cost.
We had 4 years to do it.
Yes, we had 4 years to do it. There were all sorts of extenuating circumstances that prevented us from engaging in the implementation of the entire CRC report. We've studied it. We've had some introspection. We've thought it through. We've visited the kinds of problems that we impose on ourselves. We've thought through the kinds of mistakes we made. And we are showing the good people of Ghana that come December 7th, if the mandate is given to us, there is absolutely no way that we would go back to. We don't want to come back and be voted out, go through that sort of humiliation. So whatever policy you see in here, whatever promise we've made, has been very carefully thought through. And I'm happy to say that just about every civil society organization that we met, that helped us, that provided some sort of support for the kinds of activities we engage in, has the confidence in us that we would be able to do the kinds of things we are going to be doing. Otherwise, why go through all this? Bother citizens of this country to spend their time submitting memoranda to a so-called manifesto committee. There is a commitment on our part that come December 7th, you will see a whole different National Democratic Congress.
Kuta executives in the central region are appealing to the president not to bow to pressure from the Nigerian authorities to change Ghana's trade laws. According to them, rather than amending sections of the law that protects Ghanaian traders, government should focus on improving the economic indicators in Ghana that make traders vulnerable. The traders made their appeal at a news conference at the Kotokoraba market in Cape Coast. Richard Kwejenyako has more in the following report.
The traders contend that Ghana's trade laws are the only weapons that cushion them against foreign participation in retail trade in Ghana. Guta maintains that per the ECOWAS rule of origin, foreign traders from the ECOWAS sub-region are only permitted to trade in goods that are manufactured in their own countries, and any other attempt to trade in goods that are not manufactured in one's own country would demand that the traders satisfy the GIPC conditions on retail trade in the country. Regional Secretary of Guta, Adwaja Mratete, addressed the media.
These laws are being flouted on a daily basis by our Nigerian counterparts, and they have defied the trade directives of the country. Since they engage in all of the above and even taking over Ghanaian business in these categories, we believe that these laws were established to maintain, enhance or protect local businesses, and were enacted to create an enabling environment for our businesses. These laws should not be enforced and should be enforced and not used to the advantage of foreigners.
She says any attempt to change the laws would spell doom for them and their unborn generation.
Traders would be very disappointed if these laws and the standard of the country is lowered to the advantage of our neighboring countries. Many businesses will be extinct in the face of impending competition because most of our counterparts across Africa operate under very good macroeconomic environments, making their products highly competitive in pricing. Nigeria closed its budget to protect their local traders. South Africa did the same. Many European, against competitors. We wish to inform the President that unless these challenges are addressed, the effort of a substantial continental trade will be significantly challenged. Ghana must not be dictated to by a Nigerian counterpart. Central Regional Bhutan is appealing to the President not to bow to the pressure of Nigerians. Ghana traders must be protected, and we demand this act of right from the government.
The traders called on government to, as a matter of necessity, cushion traders in Ghana to stay competitive rather than considering altering the trade laws that offer them some protection. Richard Kwejonya, Joy News, Cape Coast.
Also live on Joy News Prime, we'll take a break. We'll be back with more. Welcome back to the second part of business. Vodafone Ghana is collaborating with Makola Foundation to train traders and business owners to acquire digital skills. This forms part of the company's drive to encourage small and medium enterprises to adopt digital solutions. Here's more from the launch of the program.
Capacity building program is expected to empower young businesses and traders in acquiring some new skills of trading using the digital channel. Vodafone has been celebrating every month of September as a period dedicated to small and medium enterprises as its contribution to the economy. Director of Enterprise Unit and Wholesale, Tawa Bolarin, says more businesses are expected to take advantage of the initiative.
Just looking at Vodafone, right, obviously with reaching so many people with the message, we hope that we'll attract more small businesses to our network. Absolutely. The second thing is that we also hope to make sure that the businesses that are already on our network know what it is they can do more with our products and services to help them. But I think what is more important to me, even though I'm a commercial person, is always how everybody sees a brand. And the most important critical success factor for me in this month of September is just to get every single small business to see the Vodafone brand as a brand that actually focuses on businesses, and they like that brand because this is a brand that, even though they're a consumer brand and they do all of these things, these people, you know, they have a focus on small businesses.
She has also expressed confidence that many SMEs will take advantage of the reduction in the communication service tax to improve upon their operations.
And if you can connect what the government has done, I think also for us in telecommunications, I think CST has been recently reduced, that's been announced. We're making those changes across all the products on our networks. So SMEs will be beneficiary. That is all I can say so far as taxation is concerned. With Vodafone, every single thing that we've done across the SME space is just to make sure that businesses are able to take advantage of these opportunities. Your Business Online is a feature product that we have for this month. And we're helping businesses to build websites, to maintain the website, and to promote their services through the website so that they can actually reach more people. We also have a tool called Red Trader. We're helping businesses to manage inventory. Before, you have to have extensive amount of money for you to be able to get an ERP tool that will help you to do inventory.
The company is also providing incentives to businesses to overcome the negative impact of COVID-19.
Ecobank can be described as a top-performing bank in most areas of operations for last year. That's a conclusion one may reach after going through the 2020 PricewaterhouseCoopers Banking Survey report. George Riafi has details.
The conclusion was based on some significant progress made by Ecobank in most areas of its operations for 2019. According to the PricewaterhouseCoopers report, Ecobank ended last year having had the highest industry deposits, accounting for about 13.4%. This was influenced by strong growth in digital channels that aided its mobilization for last year, with a deposit base of 10.92 billion Ghana cedis. In the area of total operating assets, Ecobank again emerged on top, growing by over 21% to 11.8 billion Ghana cedis, making it the number one in the industry among its peers. In 2019, more than 9.6 billion Ghana cedis was advanced to businesses. Out of this, Ecobank accounted for about 14.6%, making it an industry leader, while having the top spot in terms of operating assets. However, on the net interest margin, GCB might have been the best among the banks that had their efficiency and profit position reviewed. GT Bank was ranked as the first when it came to return on assets. Consolidated Bank came on top when you look at the average liquid funds in relation to total assets ratio, while Access Bank made some great strides in terms of recoveries or came on top in terms of recoveries as compared to the amount of loans given out. The banking industry can be described as profitable despite recent challenges. As for the third year running since 2017, profits shot up by more than 30%.
Let's turn now to the stock market for a review of stock market activities for this week. Joy Business's Daryl Kwao has been speaking to stock market watcher Bertha Atubiga.
This week has not been too impressive on the Ghana Stock Exchange. However, we've seen some equities adding up to investors' capital. And it was yesterday, and then we saw Standard Chartered Bank decline on Tuesday by quite a high margin because it lost more than 1 CD of its value on the stock market. And then we also saw Cal Bank going up by 4 pesos at midweek. That was on Wednesday. To close at 68 pesos per share after trading 16,300 shares on the stock market. And we also saw EcoBank going up by 7 pesos, that's 1.03% on Wednesday as well. And it closed at 85 pesos per share. Benzo Oil Palm Plantation declined yesterday, that was Thursday, by 14 pesos, quite a big margin. And it closed at 11 pesos per share after trading only 1,200 shares on the stock market. Right from last week till date, it was only on Tuesday we saw the financial stock index actually decline on its index level in the year to date because of the decline we saw in Standard Chartered Bank on the stock market. It went down by 15 pesos or so. And then we haven't, apart from that, we haven't really seen any change in the financial stock, in the meaning that most of the or all the financial stock, financial equities on the stock market haven't recorded any price changes in the last, let me say, 2 weeks, last week, this week, apart from Standard Chartered Bank. And then this week, we have seen Cal Bank and EcoBank add on to investors' capital on the exchange. So the worth of the market began this week at 52.66 million Ghana cedis, and it's dropped further to 52.22 million Ghana cedis, and we've seen a further drop again because of the loss. We saw it go up on Wednesday, but on Thursday, it declined again because of the loss we recorded in Benzo Oil Palm Plantation on the market.
Well, Bertha, I've got 2 questions for you. I hope we can do all of that in 2 minutes. Let's start with the first one. Despite all of this, people saying this is the best time to invest in the stock market. You agree?
Yes. It is absolutely right. It is the best time to invest on the Ghana Stock Exchange because, or invest in equities in general, because when prices are low, that is when you buy shares or you buy equities. And most of these prices, for instance, MTN is selling below its IPO price, and they are way low. Around last year, we saw FarmMilk trading around 13 Ghana cedis per share. And as we speak now, FarmMilk is 1 cedi 4 pesos per share. So if you bought it at 13 cedis, you might have lost significantly. But this is a time that new investors who want to come on board can actually take advantage of these low prices that we're recording on the market to make very significant gains in the long term.
That's it for business.
Hello, Gary Al Smith here with the sport, quite extended for Prime. We normally don't do 10 minutes at a stretch. I'm here with Hans Mensah Andor. He has a special package for you today from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. He'll talk about it briefly. Hans, what do you have for us?
So we've got a special preview of the European season. The focus will be heavy, of course, on the Premier League, but we'll touch on the Spanish La Liga, also a bit of the Italian Serie and the German Bundesliga. And we've got 2 pundits, mainly one in England, the other one here in Ghana. Plus, you know, Joy Sports has gone global. We've got a few friends out there in the UK. 4 of them will be naming their top 6 come the end of the season and tell us how they arrived at those predictions. So that is what we've got for you. Plus, of course, the various predicted lineup, the starting 11s of the various teams that will be challenging for the titles. And we bring you the Joy Sports team's prediction of the top 6 plus the prediction from some of our audience as well.
So, what time is that? 10 p.m.?
10 p.m. and 1 hour. We usually do Fun Zone 30 minutes from 10:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. but we're doing 10 p.m. to 11 p.m.
It's all part of the package of our 2020-21 football season. So, yes, indeed, we are launching it today. We can consider it launched. And by the football season, we have live EPL radio commentary on Sundays on Joy FM. But it's not just that. Let me take you through the stuff that we have in terms of the competitions we have for you. We have FIFA International friendlies and competitions. It will be here at Joy FM. La Liga also will be bringing you live commentary on that on Joy FM. And then we have the Premier League on Sundays on Joy FM. We have the UEFA Nations League on Joy FM. We've also got the UEFA Champions League, which you know, on Joy FM. And then we have more competitions coming up. Okay, all right. So we have the Bundesliga, we have the Ghana Premier League, the FA Cup, and more. Just as a teaser of how global we intend to make this season for you, here's a BBC News two-way between George Addo Jr. and John Bennett of the BBC.
Right. So let's talk about the kind of transfer business Chelsea has done in this transfer window. Most Chelsea fans are excited about it. Where would you place them in that transfer window?
Yeah, very highly. I mean, we thought, didn't we, due to the coronavirus pandemic and the financial problems that there's come from that there wouldn't be much spending during this transfer market, but Chelsea have completely blown that out of the water, blown that theory out of the water. They've spent a lot of money on some very clever signings. Hakim Ziyech is a player I've admired for a long, long time. Having watched him for Ajax and watched him playing for Morocco as well. Kai Havertz, for me, has got the ability to be not just world-class, but, you know, your elite top 3 in the world. He has got everything to be an absolute superstar, and he's on his way there already. His performances at Bayer Leverkusen attest to that. Ben Chilwell, a left-back who can go forward, but also has got that defensive brain as well, can be a quality signing on and off the pitch. I think he's a real leader. Having said all that, I do feel that there are worries for Chelsea. They conceded the most goals of any teams in the top 10 last season in the Premier League. And have they really remedied that problem? I'm not sure they have. Yes, Thiago Silva's coming. Yes, Ben Chilwell have come in. But I'm not sure they will be enough to remedy that problem of conceding too many goals.
Yeah, John, there's been another criticism there for Lampard. And most have said that because you have so many players, it's often always difficult to put those players or get them into a certain rhythm in just one season. Do you think that these concerns are valid?
It's a lot of players to fit into a team, but I don't think it's too many that it will unsettle the dressing room. You've got to remember they're fighting on a number of fronts this season. The Champions League, I feel, will be important to them. I think Frank Lampard was given a bit of a pass last season, wasn't he, for the way that Chelsea performed in the Premier League. They were absolutely thrashed by Bayern Munich. What was it, 7-1 in the end on aggregate? Any other Chelsea manager would not have been forgiven for that. But it was kind of just seen as normal that Chelsea should lose, come in the depth of the squad they have, the quality players that they have. So I think that the good thing is about a number of these players is that they're adaptable. Kai Havertz can play in a number of positions. He can play up front. He can play as a number 10. He can play wide. He can play as a number 8. Hakim Ziyech can play on wings. He can play a bit. So I excuse this season that they have to deliver. I'm not saying win the Premier League. I still think Liverpool and Manchester City are slightly ahead of them. But certainly some good cup runs and a good run in the Champions League.
So then let's talk about where you expect Chelsea to finish. We've been allowing a lot of the fans to predict. It's been interesting. My prediction put Chelsea at 2nd, and I was surprised. I thought I had to be careful, but I was surprised when the fans came back and told me, George, why didn't you put Chelsea up there? Chelsea should be first. Chelsea should win the Premier League. What do you think will be modest expectations for Chelsea?
If they finish outside the top 3, I think it's a disappointment. with the players they brought in. And I do think that Frank Lampard will feel... They talked about a 3-year plan, didn't they? The first season was getting him into the Champions League. Second season was challenging for trophies. So that means going a long way in the Champions League, doing well, particularly in the FA Cup, League Cup, not so important. But the Premier League, they have to start closing that gap to Manchester City and Liverpool. But it is a big gap. Liverpool, we know they haven't spent big. They've only brought in one player, Kostas Tsimikas, but they are still a quality team with a quality manager. It's very difficult to win back-to-back Premier League titles. We know that it's rare, but don't write Liverpool off. Manchester City, yes, they've lost David Silva, but they brought in Ferran Torres, they brought in Nathan Ake, they will still be up there. So I do think there's still a slight gap that Frank Lampard has to bridge between where Chelsea are and that top two. But he certainly has to be challenging to break up that top two of Manchester City and Liverpool. The pressure is on Frank Lampard this season. He has to deliver.
Yeah, hopefully Lampard gets to deliver and the Chelsea fans will be excited here. But let's talk about the Kepa Arrizabalaga situation. We know that Chelsea are close to signing Edward Mendy. What would you do if you were in Lampard's shoes, having Edward Mendy and Kepa Arrizabalaga? Straight away play Mendy, or you manage this carefully?
It's a difficult one. It's a tough one from scratch where he was, and his career has kind of been reignited. He had a fantastic season last season for Rennes. They got in the Champions League. I admire his story. I think he's an excellent goalkeeper, but I feel you have to start with Kepa to see what develops at the start of the season. Massive question marks about Kepa, both in terms of his shot stopping, his command of the box. He's good with his feet, but he needs to do more. And Edouard Mendy, I'm sure, will put him under pressure, but I think you should start the season with Kepa.
Right. John, let's end with what your starting lineup will be, given all the injuries. We're putting you in the shoes of that Chelsea manager. What would you expect to see against Brighton on Monday?
On Monday, it's difficult because they've got a few injuries, haven't they? No Ben Chilwell, who's out injured, no Hakim Ziyech, no Thiago Silva. Going forward, if you were to pick out of all the squad now, they got to the Champions League final, say, I'm going to be kind to you and say that Chelsea are in the Champions League final. I don't think it's going to happen, but let's be kind to you. Who would you start of all those players? I think you'd have Timo Werner as your striker. He can play wide, but I think you'd have him as your striker. I think you'd have Pulisic on the left. Where would you play Hakim Ziyech? I guess you'd have to have him on the right, wouldn't you? And then Kai Havertz just behind. But that is so attacking, isn't it? That is so attacking. Is N'Golo Kante going to get into this team? He would certainly get into my Chelsea team in that midfield. Do you play Mason Mount? Can you play Mason Mount and Kai Havertz? There are so many decisions for Frank Lampard to make. I also think the decision at the back is interesting as well. Thiago Silva, who does he play alongside? I would say Antonio Rudiger. Then at left back, you'd have Ben Chilwell. At right back, of course, Azpilicueta. And I think at the start of the season, Kepa will start. But as the season goes on, I think Mendy will win his place in the team. So if towards the end of the season, if Chelsea got to a big final, I think Mendy would probably start. But
so he's talking about Chelsea. We have Fulham versus Arsenal in the commentary game as well. And we also have that on Joy FM. Now, quick reminder of what we have. We have the Emirates FA Cup here in terms of commentary on Joy FM. And then we have Copa del Rey as well, in addition to all the other things that I mentioned. Copa Italia is also here. CAF competitions, Black Stars, anywhere they go, we will be there. And Bundesliga as well on Joy FM. Football is here. I'm Gary Al Smith, ending Joy News Prime today. Thank you very much to the team and also to Aisha for bringing us all the news that's trending from around the world and here in Ghana. We'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye.